These are assembly instructions for my Fishing at the Lake pop-up card. This is a 5x7 card, and I have my card base, which I've cut out of craft board, but 80-pound cardstock would also do. And then I have a layer of foiled cardstock, and my print and cut layer is going to go at the top. And then I have more of that foiled cardstock, and I have some 80-pound cardstock for the bottom. So I'm just going to glue those down, trying to keep an even border around all my panels. So now that I've glued in those panels, I'm going to start gluing in the mechanism for my boat. So I have 2 strips with score lines along them, and I've just folded down on all the score lines. And then I have this one piece. It has a series of score lines on the square part of it, and I'm just folding down on all those score lines. So I have that little extension on the right hand side. So there's a score line that runs just at the top of that little extension piece. I'm just exerting a little bit of pressure to fold them down. I'm just burnishing a little bit, and that's my pop-up mechanism right there. So for my boat, I've cut a piece of 80-pound cardstock, and I've also cut a piece of wood veneer. This is Cricut wood veneer. I've cut it using my deep point blade on a purple mat. So I'm gluing that piece of veneer to my cardstock base. So next I'm taking those strips of cardstock. I have a small tab at the top and a larger tab at the bottom. I'm taking my boat piece and I'm turning it. So this is the underside of my boat. This is the bottom. So I have the bottom towards the top of my mat. I'm just putting glue all along that section that's above the long tab. And then I'm gluing it down so that that score line is right at the bottom of my boat. I've positioned it so that it's just past that curve of the front of my boat. So for the other end, I'm doing the same thing. I'm putting glue on that section right above the longer tab. I'm gluing it down so that my score line is right along the bottom of my boat, and it's just about 1/4 of an inch from the end of my boat. So that's the underside, and that's the front. So next I'm taking that little triangular mechanism and I'm putting glue on both sides. So on that triangular bit, it kind of looks like a boat. That little triangular bit at the bottom, but on both sides. So I'm placing this piece more towards the right hand side. I'm just above that score line. And then I'm shutting my card and I'm applying pressure exactly where that mechanism is. Make sure it takes. So when you open up the card, you have your little extension that pops over like so. So next I'm taking my boat piece. And so I have the 2 tabs at the top and I have the long tab at the bottom. So I'm putting glue on both of those long tabs that are at the bottom of my boat. I'm trying to center this horizontally as best I can. So I'm positioning my tabs right on the score line, like so. And then I'm putting glue on both tabs at the other end of my pieces. I'm laying them flat on my card, and then I'm closing my card, and again I'm applying pressure where those tabs are. And so then when you open your card up, your little boat rises up. So next I have my fisherman. I actually have 2, and I have my fish. So I have a length of embroidery thread. It's about 7 inches long. I've got my 2 images facing in the same direction. I'm just putting glue on the end of the fishing pole and then gluing my embroidery floss right down. And I'm taking my second image and I'm putting glue on the underside of it and just gluing it on top of my first image. On the underside of my fisherman, I'm putting a little bit of glue just on that rectangle. I'm just gluing that to the little extension that's on my mechanism. I'm just pinching that in place. And when I close it, I want to make sure that he's within the limits of my card. So next I have my fish, putting glue all over the underside of one of my fish. I'm snipping off the excess. Then I'm putting glue on the underside, including that embroidery thread. I'm gluing my second fish right on top. And then I have a little area for my signature. I did that using print and cut. I'm going to glue that down to its base and then glue it down to my card. So now I'm going to work on the outside of my card. I've already put down my 2 panels for the back of my card. And for the front of my card, I'm gluing down my plaid on top of my solid color. And I'm just gluing it down, trying to maintain an even border all the way around. And then I have my fish. Now my fish is 4 layers, and I've already stacked them up and glued them all together. For most of these types of projects, you want the layer with the most cutouts in it to be at the top. So you start with a solid layer, and then the piece that has the second least amount of holes in it, and then the third, and then this one has the most, so you can see all the different colors poke through. I'm going to glue it down to its base. And then I have my sentiment, and for my sentiment I have the same base color as for my fish, and I have some red vinyl that I'm just going to apply to it. I'm using a piece of transfer tape that's been well used, so it won't, hopefully will not rip my cardstock. So first I'm going to glue down my fish, and then I'm gluing down my sentiment, and then I'm just going to adhere the whole panel to the front of my card. And there you have it, my Fishing at the Lake pop-up card.